Happy Pride to all my Canadian friends. Welcome back to Sewing 101. Guess what we're going to be talking about? It has something to do with a hole. Not that hole. Buttonhole. So this is my fashion studio. My name is Faren. So let's learn about buttonholes, and we'll be sewing them by hand. I will also show you how to make a thread loop. So make sure to stay until the end because I'm going to give you a tip on how to make a super fast thread loop. Okay, let's get ready with some equipment. Thread, silk finish, you know I love it. With some pins, why not? Clippers, you know I love these. A measuring tape or a ruler to measure where your button placement, your buttonhole placement is going to be, and to measure the diameter of your button, which brings me on to the next thing. Button! And your needles. Make sure that your needle matches your fabric and your thread because you don't want to be sewing with a big fat needle. So you also need some fabric. Last but not least, you will need some sort of chalk, or like I enjoy using, this soap. And the thimble, for those of you that like sewing with a thimble. I don't. So I'm going au naturel today. Before we get to the buttonholes, we need to talk about buttonhole placement because I've seen it done wrong many times. And we got to go through a few rules here. First rule is horizontal buttonholes are for coats, jackets, and epaulets, and anything like that that is outerwear. Vertical buttonholes are used for tailored shirts and pocket flaps, hidden button closures, and that's about it. Ideally, you want to press the center front down with your seam already stitched. So stitch down your facing or whatever at your center front. Make sure to mark your center front. So you have your placket. Mine is about 2 inches. And my center front is 1 inch from the edge. I'm just marking all along the center front with my soap here. Check that out. It's just like chalk, but a much finer line. Buttonhole placement is determined by half of the diameter of your button plus a quarter inch. With my button, 7/8. The diameter of my button is 7/8. So you half that measurement and then you add a quarter of an inch in order to get the buttonhole placement. Okay. And then you do that from the top edge and you mark that measurement. That will be the start of your buttonhole. In order to get the buttonhole length, the opening of the buttonhole, measure the total diameter plus 1/8 of an inch. Okay, don't get that confused. Was that clear? Did you get that? So from there, you need to measure each buttonhole length. Okay, so in order for you to get the bottom buttonhole, say, okay, for example, if you have a placket at the center front and it stops, you basically take those measurements and you do it backwards, if that makes sense. Okay, we're only talking about vertical buttonholes right now. Okay, we're not talking about horizontal. Horizontal is coming next. Honestly, I'd have to say, I usually take the full measurement and even out where my button placement is going to be. If you find your button placement, you can easily find your buttonhole placement. In order for you to find the next buttonhole placement, I measure from the center of the button to the next center of the button. And it's usually around 2.5 inches to my next button. Center of the button. So the center of that next button is going to be the center of your buttonhole, okay? I really hope that's clear. Get it? No. Confusing? Probably. We're going to learn about horizontal buttons and how they're placed. Same principles as the vertical button, okay? Same thing, but the buttonhole is going to be placed horizontally. Okay, so to get the length, like I said, diameter of the button plus 1/8 of an inch. Like 1/8 of an inch past center front, okay? So go into the east. And then you have the opening of your button. Now I'm going to be showing you how to sew by hand a buttonhole. It's so easy. You're gonna be pros after this, okay? Yes, let's get going. Ow! That was a needle in my finger. Okay, do not double up your thread. It is a waste of time because we're just gonna go over and over the buttonhole, and we're kind of doing like a basting thing. If you screw up, you can just pull it out. Now that you have your placement marked, you can cut that. Some people don't like cutting it, but I do. I like living on the edge here. I'm gonna cut that. Cut it out. Cut that hole. Now we have a hole. Woohoo! Okay, you can tie a knot or you can do a tailor's knot, which is basically just back stitching. From the back side of your fabric, pull your thread all the way closest to the end and do a little back tack, which is basically just going over your stitch. Right? Don't pull too hard or it's just gonna come out because you didn't tie a knot. Okay. I like working left to right, and I'm really just basting around my frayed edges very quickly, just basting left to right. Okay, now that you finished that and you're back to where you began, here's what you do. You move right to left now, putting your needle in top to bottom and moving your thread around the needle all the way to get this beautiful little stitch here. Okay, and you just keep doing that very closely around your buttonhole. Because it does take some time. So be patient with yourself. Don't get frustrated. Do nice little tight, close stitches so you can have a very secure buttonhole. Okay, when you get to the end of your button, do a little bar tack, which is basically the same stitch across the top of your buttonhole and the bottom. After you've done that, just move your needle onto the back side of your fabric. Tie a knot by picking up some fabric and making a loop and putting your needle through the loop and pulling. Actually, I like to keep it safe and do 2. There you go. 2 knots and a clip. Your buttonhole. Look at that. Holy shit. Buttonhole. Ooh, I will show you how to make a super fast thread loop. You can use this method for a button, or you can use it for a hook. There's been many times where I have lost the eye of the hook, you know? Or I don't want the eye of the hook to be seen on my garment. So what I do is I make a thread loop that matches the fabric, so it can be kind of hidden. Needle. Oh, that went in really quickly. You are welcome to make it 4 threads to make it stronger. Flip that. Give it a big old knot. My little trick is taking your finger and rolling it off and then pulling it. Look at that, a knot. Okay, just tune that up and take your fabric. For women, it is usually right over left because the maidens used to help the women get undressed. So they would usually be in front of them, undoing the buttons. For men, it is left over right because they would need to pick out their sword and pull it out. Oh no, my thread flew. It's very medieval. All right, make sure you're kind of picking up a few threads right on the edge of the fabric. Okay, you have a big old knot there, that's fine. We're going to hide it by going around the edge of the fabric. All right, there you go. Okay, make another loop. With this loop, this is what you're going to do. You're going to take this loop and you're going to pick up your thread and you pull it. You pull it tight and you keep doing that. Look, like that. And this is how you make a thread loop. So just keep doing that until you get a good length that'll fit the size of your button. So when you're done, you take your needle and you put it through the loop. There. So you have this like little strengthened thread loop. Duh. Okay, so you give a fair distance for your button, and then from here I secure the bottom by tying a few knots at the edge of your fabric. Give a little knot. And I will do that a few times. There you go, you can cut that. And there's your little thread loop. Cute, right? So your thread loop for the eye, for a hook and eye, needs to be very tight and close to your fabric and not on the edge of your fabric. The eye is supposed to sit right at the edge of the hook. So from here, you mark where your hook ends. And you start sewing. Pick up some fabric, and now you can make a loop. Make a loop, and then do your little thing here. Super fast. Okay, now that you've done that, make sure that your hook or your eye is taut, and it's usually about a quarter of an inch wide. So really, just tie a knot on the other side, and then you're done. There you go. Isn't that cute? Let me know in the comments below if this was helpful and if you would like to see any more tutorials that I can help you with. I'll see you next time. This is your fashion guru signing off.